Okay, let's start right into the video. I will mainly focus on the specs of the Atomos Shinobi, but I will also compare some things to the Ninja Vive or Ninja V. Alright, the Atomos Shinobi has a 5.2 inch 1080p display and it is 1000 nit brightness, which means it's really bright and you'll probably never have any issues seeing what you're filming. And of course it's not really comparable to a camera screen because of the size and of the brightness. The Atomos Shinobi is also a bit lighter than the Ninja Vive with 196 grams instead of the 320 grams on the Ninja V, mainly because of the plastic body on the Atomos Shinobi instead of the metal housing on the Ninja V. And the Shinobi also doesn't have a fan for the cooling system. Yeah, but that can also be a plus point, so because you don't get any noise from that. And as you can see, the battery is now mounted centrally and not on the left like on the Ninja Vive, meaning it's very evenly weight distributed, which is much more comfortable for a handheld setup, but yeah, also for overall usage. With the SD card slot, you can update the firmware or import your own LUTs. If you want to do that, that's absolutely possible. And you'll have an audio jack for monitoring your audio, and obviously an HDMI input to connect your camera, but no HDMI output. Personally, I don't really need one. It's just to connect the monitor to a larger monitor for a producer or director to look at the image at the same time, but since I'm not doing any of that, yeah, it doesn't really bother me. And one thing I want to mention before we continue with the features of the Atomos Shinobi, this monitor is merely a monitor, and if you're looking for a monitor / recorder, then you'll have to go with the Ninja Vive. And now to the inside of that thing. First of all, I wouldn't call the menu intuitive. It's a bit complicated, like every menu you see it first time, but after some use you'll get into it. Now I'm just gonna give you a quick preview of the monitoring settings and then I can show you some in detail. Alright, this is what you're seeing when you're turning on the monitor for the first time. On the top right corner, let's start there, you have your input info. With your signal, for me it's 25 fps because my camera is recording 25 fps. Then you have the different camera settings. You have Sony, Canon, Panasonic, Arri, Red, and so on and so forth. Every camera I think you'll use is in here. And then you have to set your camera for, it says here, for correct image processing, so that everything works right. And for me that is S-Log2. You can set it to S-Log3 as well, or HLG or S-Log. Then you have the audio settings. If you plugged in any headphones, then you can set it here. Then the battery info and the general info of the monitor. And on the bottom right here you have your monitoring settings, which you wanna turn on or off to your liking. There are a bunch of waveforms included here, vector scopes, another histogram, and focus peaking. This one I'll use a lot. You can also set the color to your liking. I'll show you that in a minute. Then you of course have zebras, false color. You have your zoom or 2x zoom, and then your resolution. For me it's 16:9, but you can also set it to error ratio you would like. Everything's in here, 4:3, 1:1, 5:4, and so on and so forth. But usually I've set it to 16:9 because that is what I'm recording in. Then you can turn on some guidelines if you want. And if you're using an anamorphic lens, there's also a setting for that where you can already de-squeeze the image inside the monitor and see what you're actually filming instead of the squeezed image on your camera screen. So for instance, if you're using like a Siri anamorphic lens, this would be the 1.3x squeeze. And here on the right bottom corner, you'll have additional displaying settings, what you want your waveform to look like, rather small, or that it should take up the whole bottom, or it should go up to half of the monitor. And the opacity and brightness of course. Then focus peaking, what color you want, you can set it to white, you can set it to red. I usually set it to red because that's a pretty contrasty color and I can see it pretty good. And of course the thickness, then your zebras and your LUTs. If you want to import your own LUTs, I already said it before that it's absolutely possible. Then they will be here. And the monitor info, you can set it to Rec 709 from the beginning or leave it on native. And the general info of the display, you can adjust the backlight to your liking. If you're outside, then yeah, obviously put it higher, but inside I have it like around 30 or 40. And that's pretty much it for the settings on the monitor. You just have to play around a little bit with each of the settings and see what they do or what they change, and then set them to your liking and see what works best for you, and then you're pretty much good to go. And you can also turn off the display. If you're tapping one time, then everything is invisible, and if you're tapping once again, then the settings become visible again. Alright, that's it for the Atomos Shinobi. If you want to see what the DJI RS2 is capable of, then click here and subscribe to stay updated.